Hi everyone, and welcome to the 4th edition of our ESGpedia showcase, Artificial Intelligence for ESG. So our showcase today will focus on the application on AI in ESG to ensure businesses' end-to-end sustainability needs and ensure compliance towards impending regulations in Europe and in Asia. So we're excited to have everyone join us today, be it in person or be it virtually as well, to witness our latest ESGpedia platform, as well as some of our latest use cases in collaboration with leading financial institutions and large corporates across ASEAN. So I'm Cleo, and I'm your Business Development Manager at STACS, and I'll be your MC for today. Before we begin, we'd like to express our sincerest thanks to our official event partner, Amazon Web Services, for jointly organizing today's showcase, and our wonderful guest speakers, Dr. Tientip, Chief of Sustainable Business Network at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for APEC, as well as Dr. Joey Tan, Head of Sustainability at AWS, for gracing our event today. And we'd also like to extend our deepest gratitude to our clients and our partners who will be speaking today and sharing more about their live use cases of ESGpedia across various sectors and how they are empowered to achieve their bespoke ESG goals. And last but not least, thank you all for joining us today at our showcase. So here at AWS Singapore today, we have more than 100 in-person attendees and more than 100 who are dialing in virtually as well. So today's audience represents a mix of financial institutions, corporates, NGOs, and SMEs from all across the world. So thank you everyone for being with us today. So as we all know, ASEAN companies are facing rising pressures and impending regulatory reporting requirements, making it therefore imperative for businesses to embark on sustainability, to be better positioned, to manage risks, and also leverage on ESG opportunities in the global supply chain. And at the same time, while financial institutions and large corporates need to access ESG data to have visibility in their supply chains, the challenge today is the lack of data availability, especially in APEC. So to help plug the missing ESG data gaps in APEC and to provide a more comprehensive, complete database, we are delighted to announce our upgraded AI-powered engine to provide a dual approach through ESGpedia Nexus and Intelligence. So without further ado, let's put our hands together to invite on stage our guest speaker, Dr. Tientip Subhanji, Chief of Sustainable Business Network at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission of APEC, to give her opening address, please.
Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm excited to be here to welcome you to the 4th edition of ESGpedia Showcase, Artificial Intelligence for ESG, which will focus on the application of AI in environmental, social, and governance to serve businesses' end-to-end ESG need. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank STACS and particularly Ben So for inviting me to this very timely and interesting event. Ladies and gentlemen, the Asia-Pacific region, the fastest growing region in the world, has an important role to play in efforts to tackle climate change. The region is responsible for around half of global greenhouse gas emissions, and research by the Economic and Social Commission of Asia and the Pacific has found that GHG emissions in the region in 2021 have nearly doubled when compared to 1990. Countries in the region need to decouple economic growth from carbon emissions. At the same time, the region is also vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Incidents of flooding, extreme drought, and typhoons have impacted the lives of many people across the region. Analysis by ESGCap based on the 6th assessment report of the IPCC has found that under all climate change scenarios and in comparison to global averages, Asia and the Pacific will be most impacted by heavy precipitation, followed by agricultural drought, hot temperatures, heat waves, and warming winds with intensifying tropical cyclones. The battle against climate change will therefore largely depend on the actions taken by governments, businesses, and society in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, at ESGCap, we have one of the long-standing private sector network, the so-called the ESGCap Sustainable Business Network, or ESBN, which is set up to drive businesses toward a green transformation. It consists of executives and representatives of leading businesses in a wide range of industries and sectors from across the Asia-Pacific region. ESBN aims to scale up business ambition and action to accelerate the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and associated sustainable development frameworks. Recognizing the enormous challenge facing governments in the region and the need for coordinated action by governments and the private sector in enabling a green transformation, ESBN in 2022 or last year launched the Asia Pacific Green Deal for Business Declaration that calls on the private sector to take a leading role in the green transformation in the region. The Green Deal for Business is about harnessing opportunities of a new green economy and proposes private sector action across 5 pillars. First is advancing a zero carbon, affordable, and resilient energy system. Second is building smart, low carbon, water secure, and climate resilient cities, infrastructure, and mobility. Third is mobilizing public and private finance for green transformation. Fourth is accelerating and scaling up innovations for sustainable development. Fifth is changing towards a more circular economy. The Green Deal for Business Declaration is important and timely as we are fast approaching the year 2030. There is an urgent need to enhance the efforts to recover momentum toward achieving the SDGs. The private sector, especially small and medium-sized enterprise or SME, is expected to play a critical role by leading the region's green transformation. In this regard, ESGCap has worked with STACS, our ESBN member, to launch and initiate the Asia Pacific Green Deal digital platform on ESGpedia on 17th of May this year. The purpose of the platform is to encourage companies in the region, especially SMEs, to start their sustainability journey through providing a digital self-directed platform for them to assess their ESG efforts. Sign-ups will be awarded with badges through participation in the program, hence incentivizing them to improve their sustainability performance. With almost 200 sign-ups for the Green Deal for Business through this digital platform, I believe that the ESBN Green Deal for Business initiative is going from strength to strength. And I would like to thank STACS, our partner, for their dedication and tireless efforts to work with ESGCap in promoting this good cause. Ladies and gentlemen, I also sincerely hope that through an event today, you will know more about how businesses can better integrate climate and decarbonization concerns into their operations and how to better utilize available technologies and platforms to serve businesses to understand their sustainability footprint. Moving forward, ESGCap is hoping to connect with all of you to drive sustainable projects and make progress in reducing carbon emissions and achieving SDGs. I personally believe that the only way to make sustainability sustainable is by learning from each other, scaling it up, and getting all the stakeholders to work together. With this, I look forward to today's discussion. I wish you a successful event and hope to work with all of you in charting green transition pathways towards SDG and climate actions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Tientip, for the insightful speech and opening our event today. So at STACS, we are also of the strong consensus that in order to make sustainability sustainable, all stakeholders, including governments, businesses, and societies in the region, need to work together. And amongst this, the private sector, especially SMEs, are expected to play a critical role by leading the region's green transformation today, especially with 90% of the value chains largely represented by SMEs in Asia. This event will not have been possible without our event partner, Amazon Web Services. So I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Joey Tan, Head of Sustainability ASEAN, Amazon Web Services.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be standing here and sharing with you some of the challenges that we are seeing in the market today. We've been working very closely with STACS for the last few years, and we see STACS as a valued partner, precisely for the point that was made just now. In most of the challenges that our customers face today, a direct emission measurement of Scope 1 and Scope 2 are by far the easiest problem to solve. Where the challenges comes up will be with the indirect emissions, with your value chain, with the 15 categories. Now things has moved on from a year ago, where when we speak to the customers out there, they were just kicking the tires. They were saying, hey, Amazon, AWS, we are both your customers as well as your suppliers, as well as our partners. Could you help us along the journey of sustainability? Those conversations of those days focus primarily on data sources. How can I help you capture the right kind of data to achieve the goals that you're looking for? The easiest savings that we help our customers for the last 12 months was to help them get to the level of accuracy. Say today, if I were to make a lot of assumption, the usual assumption of proxying by spend values and measurements, you have a baseline that is fairly accurate based on spend data. But the moment you go down to the level of granularity, you realize that you could actually be greener than you thought. And by doing so, your starting point is already ahead of where you started on. So having accuracy, granular data was the problem of the last 12 months. Having said that, I think the whole atmosphere has changed. For those in Southeast Asia, you know for a fact there's a couple of very interesting changes. With this SB, S1 and S2, in fact, there's I think a total of 14 different standards that was being announced in the span of 2023. I call that the post-COVID effect. The most interesting standards that's affecting most of our customers in Singapore, if I take Singapore as an example, will be the recent concluded consultancy on the reporting standard by SRAC. Right? The indications is in the stars, is in the winds. We are looking at the possibility of regulations expecting all SMEs to start reporting at least their Scope 1 and Scope 2 by financial year 2027. So those with business above $1 billion, even if you are not listed, you have to start reporting them. By the year 2029, any businesses with revenue above 100 million has to report them as well. So given that whole shift of context, plus the fact that a not very welcome decision was the carbon taxes, going to $50 and $80 by the year 2030, has taken the impact to the market. We're seeing businesses that traditionally don't care about sustainability who come to us and say, just help me do something for my marketing, has now taken their focus to a more accurate aspects of how do I measure. And not only do I want to measure my Scope 1 and Scope 2, I also need to start measuring my value chain, my suppliers. And that's where our partnership with STACS becomes a very impactful story for us as we go to market. The second thing that came to mind or that came up in our interactions together with STACS and some of the large companies in the region is the board structure. The board of directors previously will look at sustainability as a risk management function. So they'll put sustainability reporting, sustainability decarbonization pathway investment, possibly under the risk portfolio. Having said so, we are beginning to see many listed companies, especially the telcos, forming their own sustainability advisory committees as part of the board governance structure. Now, this is a very clear indicator of where the things are going. We are beginning to see companies looking at sustainability not as a risk avoidance or cost management structure, but they are seeing it as an opportunity that they need to capitalize as well. So if you look at how boards and board oversight works for a large company, they wanted to plan out scenarios for the next 5 years, right, in order to avoid black swan events that was going to impact them. And hence, usually that's under the risk portion. But today what we are seeing is that we have board committees members talking to us, independent directors saying that, hey, I wanted to avoid being sued class action suit. There's quite a few of them in the US and Europe, right? Where the companies fails to realize their investment because they did not take into consideration the impact of climate changes. So as a result of that, the whole governance structures of listed companies in Southeast Asia are taking the shift and position. We are beginning to see governance structures being put in place for sustainability, elevating the question of climate risk beyond risk, right? Climate changes beyond risk, looking at the system level approach, right? The whole system level approach. How do I have an outside-in view on the climate changes affecting my balance sheets, affecting my financials? Now, while every one of us in the room here probably heard of the term TCFDs, that of course is coming down the chain. But we are beginning to see companies taking the proactive steps of managing their risk, not just from the compliance point of view, but also from their business operation point of view, and not just from the angle of risk, but also from the angle of capturing new opportunity out there. And most recently, many interesting things have been moving along as well. You have seen some of the advisory given out by the government here about working in hot weathers. You have to take a 5-minute break, compulsory breaks. That is effectively is going to increase the cost and productivity of the operations. We are also beginning to see Indonesians conglomerates taking references to these regulations, looking at how can they maximize their productivity from the point of managing the risk of climate changes and the risk of climate compliance. So having said all that, right, I would like to maybe just land with a point that at the end of the day, 99% of the problems that we face in sustainability today, be it forward-looking risks or backward-looking simulations, all falls on the fact that we don't have good data. Right? Banks out there are hungry for investment-grade data. We have Bloomberg's working with us. We have various providers of data sources working with us. PE coming to the whole family of sustainability, ecosystem players and say, can I build a PE reference sources for me to evaluate the risk of my investment? So 99% of the problem goes away once we have credible data sources. And the first step towards that journey is to encourage, if not mandate, make it compulsory and important for all businesses to understand what that data means. How do I qualify those data? How do I submit it? And how do I accredit it with external assurance party as well as internal auditors? And I think having a partner like STACS is our privilege because they are taking that battle, that challenge up front, working with all the SMEs who don't care about regulations because they are not listed, they are $100 million, but they are taking the first step. So with that, I really thank you all for coming here today, and we hope to do more together with STACS. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Joey Tan. I think it was a very interesting insight where we do see the trend of companies, right, who initially adopt ESG for purely branding or reputational purposes, moving towards risk management, and eventually moving towards, how this allows me to leverage on business opportunities. Yeah. So in all that, this is where data, having verified comparable data is actually crucial in this whole grand scheme of things. So next, I'm very pleased to now invite on stage my boss, Mr. Benjamin So, founder and managing director at STACS. So STACS is Asia's leading ESG data and technology company, operating ESGpedia, a one-stop registry empowering sustainability across Asia. And Ben will be introducing ESGpedia Nexus and Intelligence, and will be covering a special feature of the first batch of the ASCAP Sustainable Business Network Green Deal Batch Achievers. So Ben, please impress them.
Thanks, Cleo. Actually, I don't think I'm the boss. all of them are my bosses. Right, okay, so but anyway, thanks everyone for coming. Can I have the clicker? Yeah, and thanks everyone for coming. Okay, it's the time of the year again, we do this every half a year. So we do have 2 events every year, semi-annually. And it's always great to see all the old friends, our new friends, old friends, joining us together in the room. And the spirit of collective work, collaboration has always, inspired us as a company. Okay, so actually it's been quite meaningful in the last few weeks, especially because we have been around the region. Just now you saw Dr. Tien. She was actually dialing in from Bangkok, Yeah, because that's where ESGCap is based. And we also have a speaker later that's dialing in from Jakarta. So I think we are already moving beyond this realm of doing things only in Singapore. Okay, it's a very happy thing that right now we are covering Asia. We are doing more things outside Singapore, and yet we are able to bring everyone together. Okay, and in fact, it feels like today when I woke up, finally I'm home. Because in the last 2 weeks, I've been in 3 countries. Okay, and actually I'm going out to another country soon this weekend, all around Asia. Okay, it feels good to be home. Figuratively also, because AWS is also like a home to us. Our software is based in AWS, firstly, but secondly, AWS has always been a kind supporter, like a family member since our growth, since our birth actually, okay, as a company. So thanks to the AWS team for having us here. We do have some drinks and food prepared, so please don't run away. Okay, let's have a good, enjoyable session at 6 p.m. onwards, where the food and drinks will be here. Okay, so but of course, today we wanted to really take the opportunity to share with everyone updates of what we are doing, particularly in ASEAN, right? And also, not just me, okay, we are also going to share the stage with 3 other speakers, okay, who will also be sharing what they did, okay, in their sustainability journey, okay? So, here we go. Right, okay, so as you saw just now, our title was that we will be Asia's digital platform, whereby we are trying to serve Asia. Right, we're trying to serve Asia. This is not just about Singapore. We are serving Asia. Okay, particularly several Singapore companies have regional footprint anyway. And why is this important? Okay, Dr. Joey talked about regulations, and that's coming. Right, it has already come. It's from January onwards. Okay, ESRS will be implemented, and some companies will be in scope. Ultimately, 60,000 companies will be in scope over time, and that's where all of them, household brands that household brands that we use on a daily basis, they will be required to report, and they will need the data from the supplier. And without a doubt, Asia is the #1 supply chain of the world. But besides the ESRS, how about local regulations? Right, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Philippines, all of them already have mandatory reporting requirements for the listed companies. Some of them, like Singapore, has already extended it to non-listed companies. It is an inevitability. And even if you are not required, you are not regulated, you will still be required by your client. This spillover will come to you. So how are we ready? Are the supply chains of Asia ready? That's why we've been in Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia in the last few weeks, okay, to really work with the stakeholders there to try to bring them on board. Okay? So we realized that most companies are not able to comply. So this KPMG study was released about 2 weeks ago. So they said that 75% of companies that they interviewed I think 700 companies, okay, with an average revenue of 15 billion every year. So these are huge companies, $15 billion revenue average, and 75% of them actually cannot comply with the new regulations. And the reasons are very clear. These large companies typically lack sufficient data, particularly from APAC. Any data that they have at all is fragmented in different sources, in different regions, okay? And they have difficulty accessing data in general. And of course, the other side of the coin are the smaller companies. Smaller companies, they can't find solutions. Typically, what's available out there are for enterprises, not for them. It's not fit for them. It's something else, right? It's expensive for consulting-based tech, okay? And therefore, there's nothing that's fit for them. They risk losing business, okay? So what we really wanted to do is to be able to fill these gaps. While taking our tour around Asia, we realized that, there are certain pain points that we could solve. What if, okay, we are able to provide simple tools to enable companies in a simple way. At the end of it all, we feel too many solutions are telling SMEs, to use some form of platform to create a GRI report, for example. Now we go back to the original purpose. Why do we need SMEs to create a GRI report? No, we don't. We need SMEs to create the data, to get the data, the core data calculated. That's all we need to do. A simple tool to enable companies in a simple way. Secondly, it has to be focused in APAC, because that's where the missing gap is. That's where the missing gap is. Who is running around, Southeast Asia, talking to the logistics association, talking to the trade associations, talking to the SME associations in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, for example. Okay, the short answer is not many people are doing this enablement. right? When we were in the Philippines and we did some workshops, we were pleasantly surprised. The interest and the demand was so high, although these are very large corporates, because they were also looking for solutions for their ecosystems, right? So this is something that's sorely needed, a focus in APAC, and a bunch of people crazy enough like us to go around and talk to the papa, ibu, talk to the makcik, talk to the uncle, and that's where we need such coverage. Okay, and lastly, the way to convert this data to a regulatory need, because ultimately, okay, these data points could be able to be converted into the regulatory format that is fit for purpose. So our approach is that we want to be able to do this in two ways, right? So firstly, a nexus that actively engages companies. No matter how big or how small your company is, it will be able to engage with you. And of course, an intelligence engine that aggregates everything together. So here is a short little video to show how we actually provide a nexus that brings companies all the way from a pre-assessment, whereby looking at a company, no matter what size they are or what sector they are, we will give them a recommendation journey thanks to our recommendation engine. So according to your size and your sector, there are certain things that you can hope to achieve in the end-to-end journey that will guide you through. Okay, and by doing all of these steps here, okay, we are bringing you closer and closer and closer to industry-recognized certification, okay, or third-party verification. So these are the certain things that we already have inside our nexus, okay, to bring companies onto the journey. Of course, what's important to note is that several of these available solutions are going to be provided by our partners. Many of you are actually our partners in the room today. So we are not going to be able to do this thing called verification, for example. It will be provided by a third-party verifier. Some of you are here, okay, to be able to provide that as a neutral third party. And so therefore, what we want to do is to put everything together into an end-to-end journey, right? Whereby it's a simple three-step process. Number one, a free profile. I mentioned about our company's platform. Okay, it's called ESGpedia. So ESGpedia, as the name suggests, trying to be an encyclopedia or Wikipedia. And what does Wikipedia look like? Wikipedia looks like if you're famous enough, you get a profile, right? You have done something in your life, good or bad, it will all show up in your Wikipedia profile. So similarly, we will be having profiles. And of course, profiles in Wikipedia are free. Similarly, ESGpedia profiles are free. Okay, we will be able to provide a free profile, but of course, not just that, also the way to get the data. So that's why we also provided a free digital starter tool. So we mentioned that SMEs typically do not need full reporting. They just need enough data points to show their buyer. So that's why we provide a starter level ESG tool, okay, whereby firstly, we're going through this validation exercise right now under ISO 14064, so that the carbon calculator that we provide will be able to be externally verified. Okay, so this is in progress right now, but pretty soon it will be able to be fully validated. And that's where, okay, we have an automated calculation engine to take in operational data. So operational data that comes from your operations, for example, your fuel consumption, your electricity consumption, right? Your refrigerant usage if you have any. Okay, so all of these will be captured by the platform and automatically converted to Scope 1 and Scope 2 carbon emissions, localized to your country. Because a factory in Cambodia will have a different emission than from a factory in Malaysia. And even in Malaysia, only on our journey then we realized in Malaysia there are 3 power grids. So a factory in Sabah will have a different carbon emission from a factory in Peninsular Malaysia. So these are the nuances that we have already produced in our platform to automatically calculate the emission based on where you are. So this is something that is interesting that we are providing as a starter toolkit. Okay? It is also multi-language, English, Chinese, Viet, Thai, Indonesian, and Bahasa, so that the local operators are able to use this. And I'm quite happy to say that we are also a SME, right? Our company is also a SME. And even for us, our single finance lady, a single user could be able to get all this data and populate it right away, very easily, fairly easily, within less than an hour. Just simply because all of these are simple operational data points. And of course, finally, the E and the S and the G matrices that we produce are scalable or convertible to the different standards. While you do not need to make a GRI report to the public, the user of your data might need it in a certain format. Yeah, so that's where when the SMEs produce the data, the user of the data will be able to plug this and export it into a different format or into the various standards or the regulatory requirement. And of course, to top it off, we feel that we want to provide incentive. We do not want to just say it's free and put it up there. We also want to provide incentive, which is these green, silver, and gold badges from the UNESCAP. So as Dr. Tien from ESGCap has said just now, okay, we have awarded close to 200 badges already. That's through the platform, of course, through our partnership with the ESGCap. And that's where companies find that they now not only get a free tool, get a profile to amplify, but they also have the badges that they can use for their marketing and their profiling usage. Okay? And that's the first part that we do. Secondly, okay, we do have some premium functionality, but of course, right now, we are offering several of them as a part of a free trial, okay, which is, first of all, the premium functionality that we do offer are multi-user, multi-asset level reporting and integration via API to third-party platforms. Okay, so today we are also announcing that we have a partnership with a accounting and HR system, Infotech, for example. So huge software. We are a client also. We are a user also. More than 20,000 customers, I think. And that's where we have an integration with them to be able to retrieve data through API from their accounting software. So these are some examples where we'll continue to partner with more platforms, more services, so that to bring the journey to become more seamless. And of course, thirdly, that's allowing companies to then therefore have their profile more widely amplified in a marketplace that hopefully can become the Amazon of ESG. So that's where we want to be able to help companies publish their profile, amplify their profile, get better visibility, or even if they need to buy anything green, okay, they can also buy green services like the third-party assurance services or third-party innovation, decarbonization tech, or certain type of technical solutions, or even financial products. So this is where we hope the marketplace can become a vibrant way for companies to feel incentivized to be more green. Okay? So that's the journey of the Nexus, an end-to-end journey. And to be able to complement that, because sometimes, okay, that was only part of the data. So on the left-hand side, we see the Nexus data that we aggregate, that we create. We also want to be able to overlay that with public data. There is already some public data out there, right? So some companies already have a lot of certifications even before meeting us, like Ghim Li, for example. You have a lot of certification even before meeting us, right? So I remember last year you told me off. You said, I have a lot of certification. I said, I agree. Yep, that's because you have done well, and that's where we want to bring it all together into a single platform, right? That's where we use some form of an intelligence engine, which is powered by AI, to bring all the different types of data points together into one, and therefore publishing them into a single profile. Oops, I went too fast, but that's okay. Yeah, the point is therefore, we will be able to bring all this type of data into a single profile, and here is a short video actually to show you how we do it. So, as the video said, there are more than 100,000 sustainability reports out there. So, working with banks has allowed me to understand that bankers nowadays have to do a lot of work. When I was growing up, my parents used to say, hey, go work in the bank. Easy job, right? Just offer loan and make money. Nowadays, I find that, oh my God, bankers need to do so much. They actually need to go and, find more sustainability data, read the reports, filter out the points, okay, make some judgments, etc. So I think that's where we are trying to help. Because if you are trying to get a database or centralized registry of all these sustainability data points, I don't think it exists today. So what we have done is that we have already taken in more than 100,000 PDFs that are publicly published, okay, to be able to extract data using our AI engine. So certain things like quite straightforward, right? Scope 1, Scope 2 emissions or Scope 3 emissions disclosed by that company. These are quantitative numbers that are easy to isolate and extract. We even go a little bit further to now also enter the realm of qualitative data analysis, which is where we are able to provide the keywords, okay, and therefore read from this data, okay, to be able to have as much coverage as we can from the public domain. So all of these are now put together so that it becomes a holistic database, and that's where we are able to harmonize them into single profile. So as an example, this is the city development profile, for example, CDL. So all those things that they have ever done before in ESG, for example, there's SBTi targets, and also their emissions matrices. On a year-by-year basis, we are able to capture their Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 from their sustainability reports, which will include the matrices that they have disclosed, okay, in a qualitative level. Also, quite importantly, all the certificates that they have already achieved. A company as big as them could have easily 1,000 certificates because they have several projects. So these certificates are important because, from a bank's perspective, or it's not just the bank, from the industry perspective, what is green or what is not, typically it's just simply the decision point is whether it's certified green or not. A BCA green mark building is therefore green. It's binary. It's yes or no. You don't have a green mark building. Okay? So that's where all these different types of data points are captured into our platform under a single profile, okay, and this is just one profile. Of course, what's important is that we want to become a ESGpedia or Wikipedia, whereby we already have 114,000 verified profiles. So verified profiles are simply where every single company has a verification done. We know their registration number, their country, their sector, their location, their size in terms of employees, size in terms of revenue that is disclosed, and therefore create this breakdown of SMEs and large enterprises across the entire world. Okay. Interestingly, we also have a focus on Asia because that's where our core belief is, to be able to focus on Asia to fill in the missing gaps. So what's underneath these profiles are the different types of data that we just described. Certificates and credentials, more than 600,000 of them already. So we already integrate with more than 60 data sources of certifications and registry bodies. For example, as we mentioned, BCA. Okay, we also have Singapore Environment Council, SEC, SGBC, okay, in Singapore. But of course, we are also regional. So we even have Malaysian certificates like My Green Building, My Green Hijau, My Green RE, etc. Okay, all the MY from Malaysia. We also have Indonesia, Thai certification registries. Of course, global ones too. ISCC, FSC, Better Cotton Initiative, etc. So all of these different types of certification registries are working with us. Okay, some of them are integrated via API, some of them are integrated via file transfer, but the more important thing is therefore we are able to bring all of these different types of data into one digital platform. And on top of that, okay, we aggregate more than 5 million sustainability data points already from different sources of sustainability reporting or from our own platform. So this forms a rich database where hopefully we can then provide certain solutions. So I covered about how we use the nexus to enable companies. We talk about how the intelligence aggregates the data. Now this all comes together into actual solutions that companies can use. All right. So solutions, therefore, only 3 of them. Okay, and the first one is always starting from the free part, which is the nexus. Right? Companies can use us for free, get started for free, use our tool for free, get the badge for free. Okay, and they will have a profile. Of course, throughout the journey, there may be some third-party services. Now, not everything is free, so therefore, certain things there will be a little bit of a payments required. But of course, we try to work with them to have a better pricing because everything is more digitalized or streamlined. Okay, so that's where if you look at the solutions one by one. Firstly, the Nexus solution allows for companies to create their own profile, to go into the marketplace, to advertise themselves. Right? And that's where we also have a rich partnership base. Several partners have very kindly decided to join us, okay, to provide their services. So you can amplify your profile, okay, as a partner. You could also, okay, buy services from our partners, okay. So that's where you will be able to get your end-to-end solution for yourselves, and also be able to amplify your profile and your badges. The second solution we have is really more for the larger companies, because the larger companies are the ones that are regulated. So these would be your larger enterprises, these would be your financial institutions. That's where we are able to map their portfolio data. Because larger institutions like the banks, they do need to be able to take the data and to be able to report them in a certain format. Right? I always like to pick on the banks because I think they are suffering the most. They are between a rock and a hard place, right? First of all, they have to provide the services to the clients and they have to do all the work. But secondly, they are regulated twice. First of all, they are a listed company, so they have to abide with SGX. Secondly, they are also a financial service provider. They have to abide with the MAS ERM. So they're regulated twice. So therefore, for a financial institution, they will need the report in a SGX format. They will also need the report in the ERQ format, right? Because they are regulated twice. Okay, so that's where we are able to take in the data of the portfolio, transform it into a regulatory format, and in different countries. What I just mentioned is only the MAS in Singapore. In Thailand, it will be the BOT taxonomy. In Malaysia, it's the CCPT. Okay, and basically what we have built is inevitably, which is on the left-hand side here, okay, the plug and play or the international travel adapter to change the data to different formats as required in the local market. Okay, so the company that we have covered, for example, your portfolio includes a certain company, they have come up with a scope 1, scope 2, etc. So scope 1 emissions means what? Means GRI 305.1, means TCFD key matrices, means ISSB S2, means CCPT GP1, means ERQ question, I don't know what. Okay, but the point is, this small little data point actually fits into different formats that we convert into the format that you need as the large enterprise or a bank. Okay, so that's the second solution we have. And the third solution is therefore a credentials bureau. We know that now if we take a loan from the bank, they will do a credit check on us, right? So now they will also need to do a green check, because now if you want to be able to create a green product, you need to do a green check. We want to be that green check for them. Okay, so this is really more for the financial sector and the large enterprise. When they're tracking their suppliers, all this data is available to them as a credit bureau. Okay, pricing is also like credit bureau. Can be pay per download, can be unlimited fee. Okay, and the most important thing is that we want to be able to help whoever our user is to amplify their impact in Asia. So we have several unique partnerships in Asia Pacific region. Firstly, ESGCap, as you all just seen, allowing us to engage more companies in APAC. Secondly, we are also part of the single access point for ESG data pilot, okay, in ASEAN. So that keeps us busy in ASEAN, okay, covers all these markets in ASEAN. So there will be a single access point, okay. We are in the pilot. We've been selected from an RFP in April to June, okay. It came out of the RFP and now we're in the pilot. So hopefully that this can also help to scale up in ASEAN, okay, partnering UI Global Compact, okay, and of course, in each country, we also have some unique partnerships, okay. So going a bit further, okay, we mentioned that we have this event every half a year. So in the previous event, okay, back in May, we actually did this, same thing here actually, and we were announcing some use cases like Maxion and Razer using us, okay, to be able to track their suppliers. We also launched our partnership with UNESCAP, 5 months ago. And interestingly, we also showcased a few financial sector use cases like UOB using us, to track data in their internal data warehouse, HSBC and Singlife issuing financial products, MUFG and Manulife tracking their portfolio using our platform. So that was 6 months ago. Okay, today, we are very happy to share that we have continued to grow. So more than 100 companies since we launched our Green Deal with the UNESCAP has already gotten the badge. Okay, not only that, we also have 3 partners here today to talk about the use cases that they have partnered on. For example, we have Ghim Li, okay, who is actually here today on the front, okay, to talk about how they are using us, how they are tracking their own sustainability journey, and of course, their partnership with OCBC. We have, okay, in the second column over here, a few companies that have already successfully localized the platform, be it local jurisdiction or local sector. So for example, with BCG, Modalku, Funding Societies, and Philippines, we have been able to customize and localize the platform to the local countries in Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. And CO2X is actually a sector-specific fleet management software that actually helps to manage the fleet data, okay, and bring it to us in carbon for us to be able to create their GHG profile. Okay, and thirdly, okay, we have also went further with Bamboo, okay, from Vietnam, to be able to build an end-to-end awareness and decarbonization portal, okay, whereby, okay, step 1 is having companies understand their profile, And step 2 is therefore making renewable energy and carbon credits available to them. So these are several use cases, okay, and it just shows you, the possibilities of what might be, okay, if we are able to produce the core infrastructure and support all the partners in achieving what they want, okay. So lastly, I think I should let the users of our platform speak for us. So we have actually created this little video, okay. Oops, can we go back? We have actually created this little video whereby we interviewed some of the users of our platform, and they kindly shared their feedback and thoughts with us.
The road to net zero is only attainable with collective effort and data-driven solutions.
Declared the intention to drive its mission toward energy security and EGAT carbon neutrality by 2050. This not only benefits EGAT but also our partner as we collectively access our performance across 5 key pillars, facilitating a comprehensive self-evaluation process.
Disclosing ESG data through a digital platform like ESGpedia lowers the barrier to sustainability as it provides a structured overview of what ESG topics are relevant for disclosure.
Previously, we had to work on manual checklists as well as experience from professional consultants externally engaged. With the platform now, it's made it a lot easier for our corporate sustainability and ESG reporting journey.
It allowed us to understand data being generated and actually allowed for other people within the company to actually access that data as well. I'm very excited about is when we can have subsidiary companies and investee companies overseas start to engage with the platform.
Our ESG reporting is a manual process that lacks real-time insights, causing delays in consolidating monthly reports for a fleet of around 200 vehicles. It enables us to track vehicle emissions and benchmark them against recommended industry standards, providing immediate insights into emissions data.
Entering data into ESGpedia has given us more insight into our ability to monitor and engage into the current emissions we are working on, and also help us to position ourselves to leverage into all the ESG opportunities in the region.
We adopt the GRI standards for reporting, and STACS happen to have this option on the ESGpedia platform.
We found the guidance notes that were provided in the framework itself being extremely helpful. It allowed our middle managers who are working on the ground to be able to put in the data points necessary in a very quick and complete fashion, allowing us to gain better visibility. We have gotten invitations to speak on sustainability efforts within the Bali hospitality landscape.
With the entries, it allows us to monitor our emission factors, and the system helps in manage emissions in my country, Thailand.
The key benefit is being able to benchmark ourselves against peers. We want to be a leader in terms of the sustainable production of food. And with that, we should be able to meet our 2050 goal, carbon net zero in Thailand.
There is also the benefit of reducing human error, makes the data calculation process a lot more efficient. There's the privacy and or confidentiality option, whereby you can choose who you want to show or present the data to, whether it be the financial institutions like banks or stakeholders that you would want to disclose your sustainability data to.
It allows us to communicate with our clients, partners, and employees about our unwavering commitment towards ESG efforts.
Achieving the ESBN Green Deal badge strengthens our competitiveness and credibility in the market. We have an understanding of the disclosure requirements and insight that will help us when encouraging the SMEs in our ecosystem to disclose ESG data.
This achievement marks just the beginning of our journey. EGAT, in collaboration with ESGpedia and our partner, to establish a solid, robust ESG ecosystem.
It signifies the commencement of our journey towards ESG excellence, reinforcing our seriousness about reducing emissions. This carbon emission certification recognizes our carbon reduction efforts, which we believe can help position companies like ours favorably for potential financing opportunities.
I would like to encourage that every businesses, especially the ones who do not have the huge or vast amount of resources yet, in terms of team or budget or skills even, to use the STACS ESGpedia platform in order to simplify their sustainability reporting and data collection process faster.
Sustainability leads to profitability. ESGpedia Nexus helps businesses embark on sustainability and leverage ESG opportunities in the global supply chain. With our ESG reporting tool and suite of actionable solutions, ESGpedia Nexus powerful synergy and marketplace of key partners across ASEAN enables businesses, regardless of their ESG maturities, towards net zero.
Right.
Join us now on data-driven sustainability for a greener Asia.
Okay, I have enough of my voice. Okay, do you notice how come you always look better on the TV, right? That's the feeling I get when I saw myself. But anyway, yeah, so that's the end of the presentation. I'm just going to leave this up here, because we are providing free food and free drinks. I hope that therefore, in exchange, more of you can scan the QR code here, get a free trial, get a free profile, okay, and just interact with the platform. Thank you. Thanks, Cleo.
All right, very, very nice. Thanks, Ben, for the exciting updates and developments of our new platform. So as what Ben has shared, this dual-pronged approach, right, of Nexus and intelligence really aims to provide a more comprehensive, a more complete, standardized ESG database, right, on top of our free digital tools, our solutions, to essentially meet the needs of different personas, be it your financial institutions, your large corps, and your SMEs in the value chain. So now we will have a 5-minute Q&A session with Ben for you to ask him any questions at all. And if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand and I'll pass the mic to you. Or alternatively, you can also scan this QR code here, this Slido QR code, to ask any questions. And especially for those who are joining us online, hi, you can also scan the QR code here and ask Ben any questions.
Hi Ben, great presentation. I didn't think you looked too bad in the video. But age-old question with self-reported data, how do you guys go about trying to mitigate the risk of people greenwashing and inputting false data, whether that be on purpose or by accident?
So I think what's important is that we must have at least some form of guardrails. So firstly, every single submission in our portal requires supporting documents. So you can't just write anything you want. You can write anything you want if you are just DIY and playing around. But if you are submitting something formally, we do require supporting documents. And the first level of verification is that we will look at the data input and against the documents provided. And of course, secondly, we do engage with third-party verifiers. So these are the third-party auditors. Okay, they will be able to audit these data and inputs. Okay, and this will be at an additional service that will help to assure, by providing the assurance, okay, to the third parties, through the third parties. Usually the financial sector is already willing to accept it. Yeah.
Hi, I'm from a bank. I hear you keep mentioning my industry. So I'm just curious in terms of your platform, where I hear most of it is if I'm a company, I want to do my ESG report, this is going to be useful. What if I'm someone who wants to look at the ESG profile of other clients and then incorporate it into my own assessment?
Wonderful. Yeah, so that's where we have the solution for portfolio. Right, so just now we mentioned about financial institutions or larger enterprises. They are taking in the portfolio data. Portfolio could be 10,000, 100,000, whatever number of companies. So that's where we convert those data points at a portfolio level into, for example, in Singapore, it will be ERQ format or the SGX format. In Malaysia, it's CCPT or SEDG. In Philippines, it's SURE, and so on and so forth. So that's where we actually have the solution for larger enterprises and banks like yourself to take in the data of the portfolio. Okay, we will have that database and everything is in one place, okay, to convert it to your needs.
By converting, you mean I will just take the raw data into my bank server and I do it myself, or you will provide that customization also?
Yeah. So actually, the last event that we had, we actually showcased this partnership with UOB, for example. So that was public, so I can say. So they're actually taking the data that we have, we actually customize it into the format that they need for their internal reasons. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we have some questions on Slido. So let's just address the first one. How do we encourage SMEs whose sole focus is on profitability, embark on sustainability, even when it's made free, like the ESBN program?
Wow, wonderful question. So I think it's because that the SMEs are focused on profitability. Okay, we want to be able to get them started on sustainability because it's actually one and the same. Okay, when we are able to list our green credentials, we are able to capture a new market of green buyers. Yeah, so that's something that we want to be able to educate and also enable and hopefully not take up too much resources of the SME. Because I'm an SME, so I understand, we don't want to be spending too much time on what may not seem to be important. But actually, if you look a little bit deeper, that actually can give us more business. Yeah.
All right. So second question from Lakshmi. Hi. So thanks and congrats, Ben and team. GFANS is seeking PCAF metrics and EER expected rate of emissions. Is this supported or on your roadmap?
Yep. So I mean, obviously, PCAF for the financial sector and all these financial regulations are all part of what we have to work with, whenever we're dealing with the larger companies or the financial sector. Okay, and that's where we are able, we always felt that we need to get into the core problem first. Because it's, Dr. Joey mentioned about the 15 categories of Scope 3, for example, right? So how are we going to achieve that if we don't even have the original data in the first place? Okay, if my Scope 3 includes 1,000 companies, and these 1,000 companies come from a different combination of 15 categories. So my first objective or my first principle is to at least get the raw data first before I can do the second thing, which is to organize them into the 15 categories. Yeah, so that's our core purpose, to get the core data first and then implement it to the different factors or the different categorizations. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. How is ESGpedia different from other ESG reporting platforms out there?
I don't think we are actually a reporting platform, frankly. Okay, we have a calculator. Okay, we transform the data to reports for the financial sector, but we are not here to tell companies to create a TCFD report. Okay, you can do so, but that's not what we are seeking to do. We are seeking to help you create your profile, and that's it. If you from there want to create a GRI report or CSB report, ISS report, sure, you are able to do so. But we are not really trying to help you create that profile all the way from the top, from scratch. Okay, we are actually here to try to help you capture your data, okay, capture your profile and amplify it. So having said that, we actually can partner with some of these reporting portals, and we have many of them. So if you just check out our website, we have at least a few reporting portals that are partnering with us because they are enabling the single companies that they partner with, their clients, to generate their ISSB report or their SGX report or their GRI report, right? So that's where they go a little bit deeper than us, okay, where we actually partner with them to deliver a bundled solution.
All right, I think we're running out of time, so just one more question. I think this is very interesting. So I understand that being on Nexus is free. So what do I get for being on Nexus? Do I get my CO2 emissions calculated and verified for free?
Calculated, yes. Verified, depends on what you mean by verified. If it's third party, no, the third party has to charge. Okay, but if it's verified by us, okay, we can't call it verification, okay, legally. We can only say that it is checked by us in terms of data accuracy, but the verification has to be done by a third party. So this one has to be clear. But more importantly, besides this verification, okay, and calculation, what's most important is that you will therefore be able to get access, okay, to publish your profile, okay, to the wider ecosystem. All right. So I also need to mention that the basic level of Nexus is free. We also have certain premium functionalities like multi-asset, multi-user reporting, and also the various insights like benchmarking, etc. Yep.
All right. Thank you very much, Ben. So
thank you.
Yeah. So actually, after each speaker segment, we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session as well. So do keep the questions coming. And now we would like to invite Mr. Gan Minghao, Executive VP Operation at Ghim Li. He'll be sharing about how Ghim Li, a global textile and apparel manufacturer, has been empowered to kickstart their ESG reporting journey and obtain an SLL with OCBC in a streamlined, digitalized manner via ESGpedia. So Mr. Gan, please.
Thank you. Thank you, STACS, for the opportunity to share our experience today. So we are Ghim Li. We are an apparel manufacturer. And we started in 1977 by our founder, Estina. And we have been listed in the ASX in about 2006. And these are our 2 independent directors and our CEO. So a little bit of our history. Ghim Li started in 1977 with $3,000 and 6 sewing machines by our founder. And we grew all the way until we are listed, and we now grow our business, I think, 200 million in the US today. So we are a one-stop shop of a global apparel and supply chain service provider. We do from R&D, market research, all the way to the manufacture of garments. We have garment factories in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Malaysia, and we have a fabric mill too. So we are fully vertical, except for the yarn spinning, we don't have that. So we supply mainly US and Canada. So these are some of our retail customers that we work with. So about Ghim Li's sustainable journey, we started our journey in 2016 with many of our large retail customers in the US. And since then, we have been obtaining gold certificates and gold awards for their sustainability programs that we were on, and did pilot runs with them. So in Malaysia, in our fabric mill, we have a RO system. It was one of the examples where we started our sustainable journey, where we recycle about 30% of our water back into our production process, and saving about 26,000 meter cubes a month of water. So from waste management, we implemented the 6S also for sustain, sort, set in order, shine, and safety. We started our detox also from chemical detox in 2018, where we cleansed our fabric mill from all of the harmful chemicals of the environment. There's a restricted list by our US customers. So we slowly removed them and phased out our strategy until today. So we have saved, So Ghim Li, we have been audited by many of our US customers. So we have many of what I think Ben said earlier, many certificates, many different standards that we have, many certificates that we have. So I think using STACS is also very good, where we can actually organize all these certificates and put onto their platform and create that profile that our customers can view in one stop and see all our certificates that we have. So we have a sustainable and traceability program now, I think you know, with the Xinjiang cotton issue in the US with that. So now we have traceability all the way to the cotton farms. We have our CO certificates where we can trace and show this visibility to our customers all the way onto the cotton farm. So from cotton, yarn spinning, dyeing, finishing, cut and pack, and export to our vendors, we can show where our cotton comes from and whether it is, and provide that visibility to our customers. So for Ghim Li, we are also featured on the Business Times from LED lights, and this is our wastewater treatment plant in Maxim, in Malaysia. So about the ESBN deal, we have worked with STACS and BV and OCBC, partnering with them on using their platform and automating not only the calculations but having that verification not only for our financial partners, financial institutions such as OCBC. We can integrate and obtain that and verify such information that we have in this across our different factories in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Because I think as Ben mentioned earlier, it's very messy, it's not consolidated, and using that platform really helps us integrate and show not only our customers, our buyers, or banks, or institutions, easy access for this information. So currently we're on the silver because we just got verified, I think about a week ago. And this, as Ben has previously showed many videos and explained earlier, the digital process really reduced manual efforts and manual calculations with their own algorithms that they have STACS has used. It makes the process much easier on reporting across all our manufacturing plants and in HQ also. So currently we have just completed a sustainability linked loan with OCBC, partnering with them, and by uploading our data into STACS, we then have verification by third party, by BV, and then after that we worked with OCBC, our partner, to obtain a sustainability linked loan. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gan, for sharing about the application of ESBN and how it helped businesses like Ghim Li in your sustainability strategies, and also potentially open up opportunities to ESG financing opportunities. So now moving on to the Q&A session. So can I invite Mr. Gan back to the stage? And do feel free to ask him any questions at all, especially on Slido, or you can just raise your hands. Okay, maybe just to get the ball rolling, a quick question from myself, right? So maybe from a textile sector POV, what do you think are, the main challenges that you face in terms of ESG? What do you think are the more material factors that you have to consider as a textile industry, right? Is it more of the social aspect of ESG in your supply chains, for instance?
I think for a textile manufacturer, our largest concern would be the material wastage. For example, raw materials that we use, such as yarn, water, and electricity, how we can reduce these carbon emissions and go more sustainable and green is the way that Ghim Li is trying to drive. That's why we have our RO systems, and we are trying to implement solar panels into our factories. That's how we reduce and recycle and try to reduce our carbon emissions.
Okay, we have a question on the screen. So can you share more about this, the before and after of going through the platform for disclosure and how it has helped you?
Good question. So before that, we work with many of our customers. So we use multiple different platforms that our customers have to manually input that data. I think now with STACS help, we can input that into a single platform and provide that in many different formats of whichever of our partner, customers, or buyers want. I think that will be much easier in reporting than manually doing it one by one in each of their different systems. So I think that's the difference that we have before and after.
Okay, next question. How do you mitigate labor risks in your supply chain?
Could you specify the question a bit further, or what do you mean by labor risk?
Maybe this means a little bit more like child or forced labor in your supply chain.
Oh, so we have one of the many certificates that we have in our factories actually certifies that we have no such labor risks, such as child labor. We pay above minimum wage, and we comply to all the laws of the local country. And not only that, we subject ourselves to a higher standard, our buyers' customer standard in the US.
So question from Lakshmi again. So compliments for the silver badge. So what are the interesting insights during your collaborating journey with BV and OCBC?
I think what was really interesting in that process is that we figured how easy it was. I think we can share a bit of the timeline. I think 3 weeks ago we started this conversation. After uploading that information online, getting BV being 1.5 weeks to verify that information. And then we quickly worked with OCBC and we managed to get the SLL. Yeah.
All right. Maybe just one last question. So, what are some learning points you could share about Ghim Li's move towards sustainability?
I think the burning point is everyone's point. How we absorb the costs and to prove that and grab these new customers that show that we are valuable by going to be more sustainable, by going green, by using, example, recycled cotton, having our RO systems, and how we impact the environment. I think going forward and giving this value proposition to our customers in the US is how we capture value.
All right, thank you so much. I think this answer actually addresses some of the questions partially in the next few questions. So, yep, can we put our hands together for Mr. Gan?
Thank you.
All right, next, I'm delighted to invite Ms. Annette Aprilana, Sustainability and ESG Lead at Funding Societies Modalku. So in October, ESGpedia officially launched in Indonesia in partnership with Funding Societies Modalku. And this cross-border partnership is part of the ASEAN Single Access Point for ESG Data, the SAFE pilot initiative led by the Sustainable Finance Institute of Asia. And it aims to support Asia supply chains and SMEs towards ESG reporting and regulations in Asia. Right, so through the partnership, Funding Societies will be promoting ESGpedia for use by its community of SMEs to facilitate ESG data reporting journey, expected to become a set of regular corporate disclosures. So Ms. Aprilana will be joining us live from Jakarta today. So let's hear from her about Funding Society's commitment towards empowering its ecosystem of SMEs towards sustainability.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having me here today. Sorry I can't join in person, but joining live here from Jakarta. Hopefully the sound is okay for everyone there. So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Annette. Happy to be here and share a little bit more about what we do at Funding Societies in Modalku and how we're working together with STACS, especially in helping to empower SMEs within their sustainability journey. So maybe without further ado, let me start a little bit by sharing more about Funding Societies. We are an SME digital financing platform headquartered in Singapore. And our business model comprises of, working together with two main stakeholders, right? We have our SMEs and borrowers on one hand, and then we have our investors on the other hand. So for instance, for our SMEs, MSMEs, and which are our borrowers, they are able to receive business loans of up to 1 million Sing dollars with competitive interest rates and taking tenors of up to 36 months with no collaterals required. And on the other hand, for investors, this is an easy sign-up process where they are able to get funding starting from $20 per loan and can be done easily anywhere and anytime. So this is a little bit about our business model and what we do in providing business financing for underserved and maybe underbanked SMEs. We are also present in 5 Southeast Asian countries. So headquartered in Singapore, we then since expanded to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So since then, we were able to disburse about $4.6 billion since we were founded in 2015. And this has been represented by 5.1 million loans across the region, meaning that we were able to touch over 100,000 SMEs that were able to receive funding from us. And we were also able to serve over 230,000 total investors. My colleagues from the Singapore office are also present in person. So there's Chia Yun and Agnes, who will be able to help us, to help you with any questions that you might have afterwards as well. But I'll present a little bit about the product specifically in the Singapore market. So we have 3 main ones that I'll share with you today. The first is on accounts payable financing. So this is a payables facility for the procurement of goods and services. And this can also be used to purchase electronics, office equipment, or other operational equipment. And this is a loan that you can get up to $500,000 with a tenor of up to 90 days. Another product that we have is a business term loan. And this is more multi-purpose with more flexible financing and has fixed installments, providing solutions for more working capital needs. And this is in the form of monthly repayments through an installment system with a principal and interest rate later. And these loans can go further up to $1 million, and tenors can be longer as well, up to 36 months. And finally, we also have the accounts receivable financing option, which is more for the cash flow solution for businesses, turning invoice assets into more of a productive source of capital financing. And typically, we are able to disburse funds of up to 80% of the invoice value. And again, these loans can go up to 1 million with a tenor of 120 days. So this is a little bit about funding societies and Modalku in general. And I'd also like to share a bit more what we do within the sustainability, the impact and sustainability function, which I head for the group. So we have two main focus here in our team. We play the role of developing strategies, roadmaps, and initiatives related to anything sustainability and ESG. So the two main focus is the first part, which is on integrating ESG aspects into our core business. And the second one, which is in helping to support SMEs in their own sustainability journey. So hopefully when I'll share a little bit more later, what we do in integrating these ESG aspects, hopefully can also translate to how we are able to support SMEs in their sustainability journey. I'll be sharing three main things on how we integrate ESG aspects, starting with the first one, which is one of our main projects, right? Which is implementing what we call our environmental and social management system. And we're doing this across our markets. So the ESMS is a set of processes and procedures that allow us as a financing company, as a fintech, to assess borrowers from an environmental and social risk perspective, and not only from a financial risk perspective. And I think Ben also mentioned earlier in his presentation that this has become more prevalent as well, especially as financial institutions are looking at risk from a more holistic point of view. So what we do at Funding Societies is we have what we call our ESG risk assessment framework, which is able to identify some of the elevated ESG risks topics per industry. And this process is captured in our ESG policy as well. So in implementing this, we are able to teach and train the relevant team members, for example, our sales team, as well as our credit teams, to be introduced to ESG topics and ESG risks. So they're able to understand the additional ESG elements in the process. And in order to help them, we've also created our internal ESG risk assessment guidance document, which is more detailed information on these ESG topics and what ESG risks and how are they relevant to each of the industries. So what this means is that when we receive an SME borrower, we're able to assess them from an ESG lens as well, instead of just from a financial risk perspective. And we're rolling this out in a phased approach in each of our markets, hopefully until next year. So we started this earlier this year, and hopefully we'll continue to roll out across our other markets as well. And the relation to this in helping our SMEs is that they're able to understand the touch points, right? They're able to know that ESG is something that is also relevant for SMEs and not just for larger corporations. So we're starting to increase that exposure and raise that awareness for SMEs as well. The second point that we do in order to integrate ESG into our business is conducting our materiality assessment. Of course, with the developments of ESG and sustainability and so many terms being thrown out there, it becomes more important to be able to focus and really understand the ESG topics that are most important to business, as well as the ones that are important to our stakeholders. So for this, we were able to identify 14 highly material ESG topics after conducting our materiality assessment. And of course, this will help us to focus and be able to reach out to SMEs in the most relevant ways. For example, when it comes to corporate governance, or when it comes to climate risk or climate action, or especially right now in terms of customer privacy or responsible finance. So these are topics that we're able to focus on and find impact metrics for. Which leads me to my next point on developing our impact metrics. So right now we were able to identify our contribution to SDGs. And in identifying this, we're conscious about which impact metrics we are hopefully making a positive impact to, and which negative ones we are able to address later on. And we're doing this not only for SDGs, but also for other reporting requirements. Which leads me to my next point again on how we're able to help SMEs. And this is our current partnership together with STACS. We just launched our MOU a couple weeks ago, specifically in Indonesia as well. And we are focusing on our collaboration on the ESBN, so on the Asia Pacific Green Deal for business. And I know STACS has partnered with UNESCAP, specifically their Sustainable Business Network, to launch the Asia Pacific Green Deal for Business program on the STACS platform, ESGpedia. And of course, the objective is to align their core operational strategies with environmental, social, and governance principles, and which we hope also to be able to launch and to introduce to our own SMEs. So within the 5 business action areas that they're advocating for, we funding societies have also disclosed on at least 2 of those pillars, and in encouraging our SMEs to disclose on the ESGpedia platform, they're also able to choose within the 5 business action areas that are most relevant to them. So our collaboration with the STACS, hopefully it will be able to show our effort to provide SMEs with a solution to disclose their ESG data and start on their sustainability reporting journey. And of course, this has become more important because disclosing ESG data allows businesses to be more aware about what sustainability issues need to be addressed, especially for SMEs starting out in their sustainability journeys, right? In Indonesia, for example, a lot of the SMEs have very low knowledge on what ESG is, and for them to be able to disclose means that these topics are being brought to the front of their minds, and when it's at the top of their mind, they're hopefully be able to act on them and make more positive impact on the way they do business. So within our network and within our ecosystem, we hope to encourage SMEs to complete the self-assessment to attain either a green, silver, or gold badge from the ESBN Asia Pacific Green Deal. And so far, the ESGpedia platform has been very straightforward to use and navigate. We've also disclosed our ESG data there. And as Ben mentioned earlier as well, we've localized the ESGpedia platform to the Indonesian language so that our SMEs are able to understand and they're more familiar with disclosing that data within a language that they can understand. So that's a little bit about what we do at Funding Societies and our partnership with STACS, and happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Aprilani, for joining us live today and for walking us through how ESGpedia has empowered your SMEs in their sustainable financing journey and how Funding Societies as a digital financing platform connects MSME borrowers to investors. So for the Q&A section, can we please invite Mr. Lee Jia Yun, Assistant Manager, Financial Products of Funding Societies Modalku, onto the stage to address questions. Please feel free to ask him any questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Jia Yun. I'm from the Singapore office and I manage the financial products that we have at Funding Societies here. So yeah, let's keep this conversation coming.
So does Funding Societies loan to SMEs outside Asia, specifically in the UK and Europe?
Right, so unfortunately we are only in the 5 countries listed. We are focusing mostly on Asia, as our name suggests. We are part of the Funding Asia group, so Europe will be in the longer term plans for now.
How does the self-assessment help you assess your clients' ESG risk? Would love examples, please.
Right, so this ESG risk profile is part of the greater, I would say, the greater risk assessment that we have for our borrowers. So of course, having ESG aspects in place would be, it would result in customer being a bit more favorable in terms of risk assessment, because in the long term, they have a roadmap towards sustainability, and this will actually point towards the fact that their businesses will be more favorable in the long run. So things like, are they doing more technologies that are more green in nature? This will actually be pretty favorable when it comes to their overall risk assessment. So it's a myriad of things that we take into account, but one such example is environmentally sustainable deals that they have in the pipeline.
So question from Lakshmi. Thank you for the narrative. Please share which SME sectors are easier to onboard on the ESG journey and why. Same question for those SMEs who are not so enthusiastic.
That's a very fantastic question. Of course, obviously there are the industries that are more, I would say, they have progressed very far in terms of ESG in the industry environment. For instance, things, people that are in the tech industry, people that are in the infrastructure industry. But even within that, there are also companies that are, I would say, they are more hesitant to proceed with these kind of things. For instance, okay, I'll just name drop a few, like those that are more domesticated, whereby they are very focused on a very small customer segment, for instance, construction sectors. So for these kind of customers, we want to also encourage them to take on, to show us like, oh, what are the roadmaps you have towards going green, for instance, are you getting projects that are in some of the more ESG favorable sectors? And with that, we can actually customize some forms of our loan products or some of our loan terms to actually encourage them to pursue these projects.
Yeah, so I think there's an interesting question below, because today a lot of SMEs are trying to start their ESG journey, but it's a bit hard. So what are some common SME pain points in starting sustainability?
Right, so I think the very first thing that they want to ask is, where do they start from? Because the people inside, they do not have a very clear idea what ESG is. I mean, they hear it on the news and they hear it from their friends, but they don't know where to start from. Coming to us, we do have our resources. Like for instance, we do partner a lot with Enterprise Singapore, the other ESG, Enterprise Singapore, whereby they have they can actually connect our customers to the relevant government bodies doing ESG initiatives, ESG grants. They also have consultants that they have that we can actually tap on, and these are where we actually play our a role as a bridge between our customers and also to people in the ESG space for them to start off the journey.
Right, maybe one last question. So what are some of the factors shaping the development of funding society's ESG products? Was this driven by consumer demand or in anticipation of regulatory changes?
I think there are a few factors at play. I mean, as we are an SME as well, we're an SME for SMEs, and ultimately we are also driven by our mandate to help companies develop. But we also have to also be wary of our mandate to our investors, whereby they also want us to also drive a lot of the using our capital to drive ESG initiatives. So there's that. So I think it's kind of a win-win situation whereby our customers drive our customers win in terms of sustainability and the sustainability growth profiles, and we also enable our company to also fulfill the ESG requirements that have been set out by our investors. The second, just to go back to the first point, some of the factors shaping development of FS ESG products. I think the very main question people ask is, are ESG loans cheaper? And the answer is actually, it depends a lot. But cost is also not just the factor that I play. I think some of the things that we are taking into account is how can we actually, because ESG investments usually have a longer gestation period. So how can we actually extend a longer tenure for these loans so that the projects that we finance can actually see fruition, but even though it's a longer term, but as long as it comes about, we are very happy to support those initiatives.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
So, yeah, let's put our hands together to thank Mr. Lee. And last but not least, I would like to invite Mr. Leonard Ng, Project Director at Bamboo Capital Group, on stage. So Mr. Ng will be sharing about how Bamboo Capital, as a multi-conglomerate in Vietnam, operating in key sectors including renewable energy, construction, real estate, financial services, and manufacturing, is driving growth sustainably through the localization of ESGpedia in Vietnam, as well as how ESGpedia is supporting in terms of carbon mitigation via RECs.
Thank you very much. So you can see it's pretty mouthful. Maybe we'll take another hour. I'll try speeding up. So anyway, I'm a project director in Bamboo Capital. So I'm sitting on the board for our renewable arm and also real estate arm. Right, I think so. Quickly, Bamboo Capital Group is established in 2011, and then we got listed in 2015. And today, basically, we are having over 30 businesses in Vietnam. So it's quite drastic. We do sell and export furniture, flour, coffee, and provide security guard services all the way to we are involved with banks, insurance, and renewables. So this is the landscape of what we do in general. And yeah, I think ESG has always been the core of what we want to do, and we believe in CSR, and we have been doing quite a lot of activities in Vietnam. In 2018, we have received and being recognized by this Asian group for our CSR effort in Vietnam. So in Vietnam, we do quite a fair bit of charity work for building bridge, because we do own a state-owned construction firm, and we do quite a lot of development from real estate to offices across the whole Vietnam. So we do beach cleaning up, we do scholarship for needy people, and yeah, giving out masks and thereafter. So I think to us, renewable is one of the key sector that we are in. Today we have about 600 megawatt of operating solar in Vietnam across north to south. So we have quite a fair bit of utility scale solar, which is as big as about 330 megawatt. So with all this, it comes together where I think we are quite thankful that we can be going in Vietnam with STACS, because in Vietnam, the government has recently announced that they want to actually do a carbon market, and they're looking to pilot in 2025 to 2028, where they will formalize and officialize a carbon market in Vietnam. So the question is always how Vietnam can be in sync globally, because I think every country have their own form of carbon credits, their own form of math and computation. So I think this is where STACS can come in handy, where we can start to sing the same songs and at the same frequency in terms of how we report what we need to be reported. Because in Vietnam, even accounting, there are different standards according to global scale. So recently in Singapore, the strong partnership between Singapore and Vietnam also helped us greatly in terms of advancing on all this carbon market, because in Vietnam, there's aggressive growth of renewables projects, from wind to solar and also rooftop solar. So earlier this year, we did a partnership together with STACS, and what we are hoping to do is that we can actually bring this platform further to more companies in Vietnam across, because I think in Vietnam, a lot of them might not be so prudent in terms of how can they start this journey, and a lot of them, they don't really understand carbon credit and how all this reporting can be done. So in Vietnam, the government also helped facilitate, and they're starting to mandate companies to do more of ESG reporting. So through STACS, we are hoping to achieve reporting from their platform and something that the government can recognize. So this is a platform that we have done together with STACS, and the journey so far has been rather fruitful and enjoyable. So this is a screen that you can see that a company in Vietnam will go through, dual language, English and Vietnamese. Through this journey, they will state what kind of businesses they do, and with that, STACS will be able to actually cater to your business type. So in Vietnam, it goes, you have factory doing furniture, you have factory doing flour. So everybody have their own various business. So for Bamboo, we listed two of our entity, or rather listed reporting for our taxi businesses. So we do own taxi businesses in Vietnam called Vina Taxi, which I think you go to Vietnam, you can see those yellow caps going around. That's our company. So for that businesses, there's a lot of emission going on in all the taxis. So we are using STACS to see how can we calculate the carbon or emission that we are doing, and thereafter how do we offset it. So the next page will show how in this platform, after listing yourself up, looking at the amount of carbon, how are you able to offset the carbon that you have been emitting, which to us, quite fortunate that we are also a renewable player. So we do have quite a lot of racks, which before STACS, we have been selling quite a fair bit to companies like Decathlon, all these big firms, because there are not many racks in the market going around anyway. So the idea here is that because government in Vietnam starting to want to regulate all these carbon credits that is being sold internationally. So we are looking to have a platform where developers and also retail people can come into the platform and buy and sell themselves with ease, and government have a visibility over what is happening in the market. So this is a screen to show, so for developers that list themselves up onto the platform, the retail people will be able to see the details of where the project is, who did the project, and what kind of project, and what's the scale of it. And with this, everything that has been traded through the platform will be recorded. So this in view where in future, if you want to have a transparent platform registry in Vietnam, government can easily enter through this platform to see whether how much of carbon credit that has been generated and sold, and to who. So these are all the credit management that we are doing with them. And this will be the dashboard that we are looking to create for companies to have a better view of where they are. Yep, so that's the end.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Ng, for taking us through the application of ESGpedia in empowering your local ecosystems. So, so now moving on to the final Q&A session for today. So do feel free to ask Mr. Leonard Ng any questions, because he's an expert in RECs, right? So do take this time to pick his brain to find out more. Right, so maybe just to get the ball rolling, I have a question. So today, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do see more large corporates who are the ones purchasing RECs because they have more capacity to do so. Yeah. So do you think SMEs are equally receptive in purchasing RECs, or do you think it's kind of a challenge for them?
I think they do. So in Singapore especially, I think they have been trying to push this carbon market. So kind of it cascade all the way across the ASEAN. So in Singapore right now, I think for RECs, it costs as high as $50 to $100, depending on average time and the availability of RECs. But in Vietnam right now, it's only about 50 cents to $1. So the question is, when will a country begin to start trading? And when will they open up all these carbon credit mechanism?
So what are the market boundaries of purchasing or retiring RECs?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the corporate governance and what is their mandate. So for them, most of them, what they're looking at is really purely on CSR angle. It's not really to gain revenue whatsoever. So when we sell to big firms, for them it's basically an image to show that whatever they have been generating or carbon, they have an avenue to offset. So it's not governed by the government, or they are doing it voluntarily. So that's why I think for the boundaries, talking about purchasing of RECs, if you're talking about earning more revenue, doing more across border, it depends on the government. So right now, I think it's mainly voluntary market.
Would I be able to purchase RECs from this platform to offset my operations across Southeast Asia? Example, plantation in Malaysia, office in Thailand, etc.
Yep, I think that's the aim. So together with STACS, what we are hoping to do is that we hope that through a proper way of reporting, it gives a form of accountability to every corporate and retail people across the globe. So right now we are focusing mainly on ASEAN first, so that we can streamline and get government buy-in that what was reported is genuine and transparent.
Okay. Would purchasing RECs be a cost-efficient way for SMEs to offset their Scope 2 instead of transitioning into renewable energy?
This, I would say, depend on the SMB themselves, what kind of governance they want to set, and it's a framework that they want to do, because across every country, there's different way that they are doing their carbon taxation. So government side, they have their own formula, and then corporate side, they have their own way of doing what is considered green to them.
I think also with the newly launched ISSB, they have a new mandate that says that RECs are not allowed to be offsetted whereas it's just an additional line of deduction. Yeah, so that's all the new regulations that we have to adapt with as well. Yep. So maybe one last question. Will this platform be similar to CIX in Singapore?
Hoping to achieve that, but I think for now, what we're focusing on is mainly a registry, a simple platform where everybody can see what carbon credit has been generated and who is buying it. And thereafter, I think we are looking to have a platform that can be traded. It's just like a stock exchange in Vietnam, where we can see all the volumes that's going to and fro within Vietnam itself. Yep.
All right. Any more questions from our audience?
No, thank you. I see the food is being served right now. Let's do it.
Yeah, if not, thank you so much, Mr. Leonard Ng.
Thank you very much.
Yep, so we have now come to the end of our ESGpedia Industry Showcase event, brought to you by STACS and our official event partner, Amazon Web Services. So through these showcases, we hope that you have gained some insights into the power of AI in accelerating sustainable development today, and how you can embark on sustainability and achieve your business ESG goals, regardless of your ESG maturities today. So to all in-person attendees, we will now commence the networking session. And to all who are joining us virtually, thank you for being part of the event and have a good evening. And for all in-person attendees, the moment you've been waiting for, it's time to unwind. So please help yourself to the wine, the beer, and the food at the side of the room. And all the sliders are actually meatless. So for those who are vegetarian and prefer meatless options, do feel free to help yourself to the food as well. So have a sustainable evening, and I look forward to connecting with you to discuss how we can jointly drive the impact for Asia through technology like AI. Thank you.